I am so excited, you guys. We are here with the one and only Jordanna Schvitz.
Yay! Oh my gosh, people actually think that's my last name. Like, it's not even funny. I have to do a whole defining what Schvitz is for the people who don't know.
So, okay, Jordanna Schvitz, not your name. Let's bust that myth right here and now. Jordanna Drazin.
Yes.
Welcome to Seeing Other People.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to be here. I feel like you're someone who we instantly connected when we first met, which was like in the beginning of this year, I think.
Yeah.
And first of all, your content's amazing. You have to follow Jordanna at The Daily Schvitz. You are a lifestyle creator, but you also talk about so much more than that. And it's not just like, here's aesthetically looking things. While they are all aesthetically pleasing.
Oh, I'm so honored you think so.
Oh my God, beyond. You're also very open about your personal life and certain struggles you've had in the past and just who you are. And I really applaud you for that because I know it's really scary to do.
Thank you.
But I just love literally like everything you post.
Thank you so much. It really means so much to me. I really appreciate it.
So what is The Daily Schvitz about?
Okay. So it's about a multitude of things. And I try not to pigeonhole myself because I was pigeonholed for so long into one specific type of content. But basically, back when I started The Daily Schvitz, I started it while I was interning at Equinox because I feel like some internship programs are really intense and have like a great program. And some are kind of just like, oh, la-di-da, we decided to hire interns, but we have nothing for them to do.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what mine was. So I was pretty much just sitting in the office every day trying to come up with busy work for something that like looked like it could be related to Equinox. Like if someone were to pass me by, like, oh, it looks like she's doing something related to working out, the gym, I don't know, but also something that would actually keep me entertained for 8 hours a day. So I started researching fitness influencers because I had just started my own personal like workout journey that year that summer actually. I think the summer before. Anyway, I was on my own personal workout journey because prior to that, I, was forcing myself to do 30 minutes on the elliptical every day just to burn calories to quote unquote earn my food, which we now know, and I now know is not the way I approach working out. So I started looking at all of these different workout influencers like Sweats in the City and like just other creators in that niche. And I just felt like I couldn't really relate to any of them. Like all of their photos, this was before Reels, before TikTok, all of their photos, they're like standing in front of the treadmill with their hair perfectly curled and their makeup looks fantastic and, not a drop of sweat. I'm like, what the heck?
That's not what we look like when we work
out. When I leave my workout classes, I am red in the face, I am dripping sweat, and I look like I just worked out. Yeah. And like, I decided that I wanted to create my own online magazine. I wasn't even thinking Instagram. I was thinking like blog. So I started working on a document.
What year was this?
This was 2019.
Okay.
I started working on a document at my desk, just brainstorming ideas of what I could talk about, like the best sports bras for girls with big boobs, like things that no one was really talking about at the time.
But everyone wanted to know.
Right. The things that people actually cared about, like a normal girl working out, not someone whose job it is to go to Pilates.
Right.
So just started working on this document, and then one day I pulled the trigger and I created the Instagram account, but I told no one. And I remember so vividly being so mad at my mom because my aunt followed me. And I was like, God. You told her! Like, I didn't want anyone to know. And the reason why I didn't want anyone to know is because even though the origin of the account was to talk about working out, I ended up really using it as like my own personal diary to talk about what I was struggling with, my relationship with food, which was binge eating. And I somewhat recently opened up that it was actually binging and purging. For a long time, I had only spoken about the binging because I felt like there was even more of a stigma around binging and purging. And I just didn't feel comfortable openly talking about it yet. So once I started posting about that, and this was like 200 followers, nothing big. But within those 200 followers, I was getting messages from people who could relate. And that was such a crazy feeling for me because the only eating disorders that you see depicted in the media or like in books, in young TV shows, up until maybe now there's a little bit more exploration into it, it was always anorexia and bulimia. And like I felt like my binging was not a valid problem because like at least I was eating.
Right.
Like I was so used to the issue, quote unquote, being not eating that I felt like what I was dealing with was just, I had no self-control. You know, like it's on you. You don't have a problem. You just have no self-control.
No self-control, no portion control.
Yeah.
If it's there, you'll eat it.
Exactly. Like get your shit together.
Yeah.
Stop eating.
Yeah.
Was kind of like why, if I'm going to have problems with my food, why am I going off the deep end overeating when like so many people can undereat? Like I was mad at myself for having the wrong eating disorder.
I definitely felt that way in college too, where I was like, I'm surrounded by so many people who aren't eating. Like, why am I eating so much where I'm gaining weight and I feel horrible about myself?
Totally. And that is something that has opened my eyes so much too. Like so many different Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts that have posted sort of these multiple perspectives of what everyone at the table might be thinking. So let's say you are someone who binges and you're at a table with a group of girls and, you know, you're restricting that day because you binged last night and like you're probably going to binge after this. So you have like nothing on your plate. Maybe you took some salad and then you see the girl next to you took a huge heaping pile of pasta and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, she's so lucky. She can eat pasta without guilt. Like she can eat pasta without even thinking about it. But in her head, she's looking at your plate of salad and saying, oh my God, she has so much self-control. Why don't I? And we're all just playing this comparison game and we're all struggling. And I think I don't want to make the generalization that everyone struggles, but so many people struggle.
So many people do. And it's a silent struggle because there's such a stigma around it, which is why what you've done, which is talk about it openly, is so important because it, A, helps people feel less alone, B, makes them feel like they're not crazy,
Totally.
and C, the more people see other people like you talking about it, the more they might be willing to talk about it and maybe get help.
100%. The messages that I would receive and still receive to this day gave me chills, made my eyes water, like literally lump in my throat, because talking about it and finding someone that you feel comfortable to talk to, I really believe is the first step to recovery, like talking about it openly, because otherwise when you have this internalized struggle and you're not talking about it, how are you possibly going to change anything? And so I really hope, obviously my goal is never to normalize eating disorders.
Right.
Like I don't want that to be a normal behavior, but helping people feel less alone, which even within those first 200 followers, knowing that I wasn't alone was so helpful to me. And I never want anyone to feel that weight on their shoulders, like that burden of no one else gets me. No one else gets this.
Yeah. And I don't think it's that you're normalizing eating disorders. I think you're normalizing, hey, like there's a path forward.
Totally.
Like you will be okay if you put in the work and call it what it is and do something about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's sort of how the Daily Schvitz started. But for those of you who don't know what Schvitz means, it's Yiddish for sweat, like sweating, sweaty. So that's why I was originally, when I was talking about working out, it was the Daily Schvitz, but it has evolved now. I still talk about my relationship with food, but I also do more like day in the lives and, you know, recipes. And I try to really just do everything because, like I was saying in the beginning, for a while, I pigeonholed myself where I don't want to say I was fully recovered, because even now there are still days where I have like bad body image or something like that, but I don't know the last time I binged. But I was like no longer in the place that I was when that's what I was talking about. And I felt like by continuing to talk about it, I was dragging myself back to a place that I wasn't in. So I just got stuck and I didn't know what to talk about because I felt like I had built my entire audience on that. And when you no longer want to talk about it, it's like, okay, well, will they still want to talk to me?
Totally.
If I, you know, start posting what are my favorite jeans, you know, like, but yeah, now it's just kind of a diary of my life, and anything I want to post, I do. I don't let anything
I
hold
did
me back.
see your post that they are on sale, and I'm so tempted.
$99, pretty unbeatable.
I'm really, really tempted. Okay, so you're in a relationship.
Yes.
Jack, we love Jack.
He's the best.
Tell me how you and Jack met. I know you told me the background when I went on your podcast way back when, and I loved the story, and I feel like there's so much to take from that story that I want everyone to hear, so let's hear it.
Okay. So Jack and I were on the same Birthright trip in summer 2019. Yeah, I believe it was summer 2019. So right before I started the
I
Daily
was going to
Schvitz.
say Equinox
And
time.
our Birthright trip, like it wasn't the classic Birthright trip where like everyone knows each other and you're playing Jewish geography and like everyone goes to a Big Ten school. It was me and my roommate and then Jack and his friend, and then everyone else was from like the Midwest, random schools in the South, like small schools. We didn't know anyone else on the trip.
And to clarify for those who don't know, Birthright is a trip to Israel
yes.
that you can go on. Isn't it like 18 to like 30 or something like that?
I think so. Maybe it even got pushed up to like 34.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And it's, if you're Jewish, it's really just to build community and make sure like everyone gets a chance to go to Israel. And it's so special. I went with my best friend Julia when we were going into our senior year of college, and we had the most magical times, like a 10-day trip.
Yeah, it
was
incredible.
You meet so many people. You end up getting to know IDF soldiers as well. They like join your trip. It's so magical and special.
It really was an amazing. And I ended up studying abroad in Tel Aviv the following year because I felt like I didn't get the full experience on Birthright and like I wanted to go back. But anyway, this was a point in time when I was still very insecure. I was in the thick of binge eating. And I did not have good body image. And I also had a boyfriend at the time. My boyfriend was not on the trip with me. I thought Jack was so funny and cute. Obviously, never acted on it because I had a boyfriend. But like, you can be in a relationship and have crushes. Like, I think that's fine. Maybe it wasn't the best sign of the relationship, but like, you can think someone's cute when you're in a relationship. I'm telling myself that. So I thought Jack was so funny and cute. Like, there was maybe a little bit of a flirtationship, but nothing past that. And in my mind, I'm like, no way would Jack ever go for me. Like, he's so cute and I'm me. Mm-hmm. Because very low self-esteem at this point.
Did you express that you were in a relationship?
Yes, he knew I was in a relationship, and he would never act on it. So like, I did not act on it and he would never. And I just thought, he was a really good friend that I had made on this trip and, whatever. So I get back from the trip. We follow each other on Instagram. Like, we stay in touch for happy birthdays. That's really it. But he did follow the Daily Schvitz. So when I started talking about binge eating and stuff, like, he knew from the very beginning everything that I shared with the world.
Was that intimidating for you, or like scary when people you knew?
Yes, I hated it. I got mad that my aunt was following me.
Yeah.
I hated it. And one of the first reasons I was like scared to ever even share was my mom followed it. And I hadn't actively expressed to my mom what was happening. I'm sure she had her suspicions, but I didn't want her to know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to place that burden on her I just didn't want to place that on her. So me posting it on Instagram was kind of me telling her.
Yeah.
And, she picked up what I was putting down, and she never made me feel judged for it. Like, it was from that point forward, it was an open conversation. And it was actually revealed to me that my mom also struggled with binge eating in college and after college. So now my mom kind of have a bond, and we both, like, if you ever see us do a cookie coffee time together, like, it's so meaningful for both of us. And my mom actually tried to instill growing up, like, this amazing perspective about food, which I now have, but growing up, it didn't mean anything to me.
Right.
But she would always say, like, you can keep Oreos in the pantry and just have one because, like, they'll always be there. The Oreos will always be there, which is what I try to tell people now is like, you don't have to have the whole box because you can always have another tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Or like, you can have 5 tomorrow. You can have 5 now and 5 tomorrow. It doesn't matter, but you don't have to have the whole box in one sitting because you want to try and make yourself feel like you will get sick and then you won't like Oreos anymore. So, whatever. It's a whole long thing. But anyway,
no,
Jack
all of this relates so much.
Jack would have never acted on anything. We stayed in touch via Instagram, happy birthdays, etc. And towards the end of the relationship I was in at the time, I would think about Jack. Like, I would always think back, like, what if? Mm-hmm. What if I hadn't been in a relationship during Birthright? Would Jack and I be together right now? What if I had been more secure in myself when I was on Birthright? Would something have happened? Like, I was just always thinking about it. And that's when I knew it was a sign that, like, it was over with the past boyfriend, because I was always thinking, would Jack have been a better fit for me? Wow. And now that I'm with Jack, and not even Jack specifically, although I was thinking Jack specifically, but like, is there someone out there that's a better fit? Mm-hmm. Is there someone out there that would make me happier? Now with Jack, I've never once had one of those thoughts where I'm like, oh, is there someone out there better than Jack? Like, no, I know Jack's the best. Like, I know he's like, I never would think that. So that's just like kind of a funny story. But anyway, then during COVID, when the ex and I did break up, I Snapchatted Jack. I made the first move because I kind of just wanted him to know that I was single.
What'd you say in the Snapchat?
I don't know what I said. I sent one of those Snapchats that you try to make it seem like it's a mass Snapchat, but it totally wasn't. It was fully targeted. I think we had previously Snapchatted back and forth a little bit just about COVID in general. Like, because he had lived in Texas. And fun fact, he actually invited me to his graduation party, like send off. I'm going to Texas. But I didn't go because A, I was dating the other boyfriend, and B, we had tickets to a concert that night. So I wasn't going to like ditch the concert to go to this other guy's going away party.
Big sign that you maybe thought about it and wanted to. Like,
and like I still have the email invitation of him inviting me.
Oh, I love that.
Which I always think everything happens for a reason, because if I had gone, maybe we wouldn't be together
so
right
true.
now. But anyway, I Snapchatted him, and I think I said something along the line of like, we're in a pandemic, I have no graduation, and I have no boyfriend, like best year ever or something like that. Like trying to be sarcastic. I slipped it in. And from there, we were just Snapchatting. He saw on the Daily Schvitz that I was in the city when I was looking at apartments. And he messaged me and was like, hey, I'm in the city too. And like, I think I'm actually right by you, like based off of, you know, what I'm seeing on your story. And I was like, oh, like I'm here with my dad, like, looking at apartments. Like I still live at home, you know, whatever. And he was like, okay, well, let's get brunch. Like the next time you come in. Sent me a reservation for Jack's wife, Frida, which now I'm like, was that foreshadowing
Jack's
something?
wife.
And we both went into that date not knowing if it was friends catching up or a first date. So I went in thinking, okay, if he lets me pay, we're just friends. And he went in thinking, okay, if she tries to pay, or like if she offers to pay, we're just friends.
No.
So we have the date. I reach for my card. He lets me. And I'm like, fuck this. Like,
what were the vibes on the date?
So we had not seen each other in 2 years at that point. Or yeah, maybe like 2-ish years, 3 years. 2 or 3 years. We were kind of just catching up. It was like a little bit. We were eating outside in the freezing cold because pandemic vibes.
Yep.
I'm in like my big puffy coat. And funny enough, that was actually the first time and place that I ever got recognized as the Daily Schvitz.
No
so
way.
He's sitting here thinking like, oh my God, she's famous. Like,
wait, I'm obsessed.
It was so funny. This girl was like, Jordana? Like the Daily Schvitz?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Jordanna Schvitz, is that you?
Literally. So the vibes were like, okay. The vibes were confusing. Like neither of us knew what was really going on, but it was a nice brunch.
But he let you split.
He let me pay. And then this part, I don't know if I reiterated the last time, but then we decided to go back to his apartment, which this was a big thing because it was COVID and my family took it really seriously with like quarantining and testing and everything. So I don't think I told my parents when I got home that I like went back to his apartment because he had 2 roommates. Like I don't know where they've been. We go into his room and we watch a Disney movie, okay? Like, it couldn't get more friend vibes than this. Meanwhile, Soul.
Oh my God, so good.
Meanwhile, I'm like nudging his knee with my knee, like trying to pick up the vibes. He refuses to touch me. I leave.
Jack.
We don't kiss. I'm like, nothing is happening. Like, my fantasy was running wild. Like, we're not going to be together. Close the door, say goodbye. He turns to his roommate and says, I just fucked that up.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So,
did you hear that through the door?
No, he told me after the fact.
Oh my God. I always wondered after dates, like what was the first thing they were saying to a friend?
He's just said, I just fucked that up. Like I should have made a move. But honestly, like I'm glad that he didn't now looking back. But then later that day, he texted me asking me on a sushi date. And that's when I was like, okay, a sushi dinner is a date, especially after this, whatever this was, like that's a date.
Right.
Ended up being the best night ever, like so much fun, the best date I've ever had. I went into the city. I still didn't live in the city at this point. I went in saying like, oh, I'm going to sleep at Dory's. I had my apartment at that point, but I wasn't moved in. So I dropped my bag at, Dory's my friend, sorry. I dropped my bag at my apartment that had no furniture or anything. Ended up sleeping at Jack's. Nothing happened, but like I crashed there. He got me a toothbrush. Like it was so love.
Oh.
The next day, he's like, you were never gonna sleep at Dory's, were you? And I was like, my stuff isn't even there. Like I didn't even tell her because if all else failed, like I was just gonna sleep at my apartment on the couch, like with no furniture, like no comforter or anything. We go back to my apartment. I show him it. We go get bagels. We eat in Central Park and like, or not Central Park, sorry, Madison Square Park and that was that. Like,
wow.
yeah. So that's the whole, sorry, that was a very long.
No, I am hanging on to every word. I still can't believe like that feeling of, is this friends? Is this a date?
Yeah.
And then you both had your own thing in your mind of like how you were going to identify it. And then you both just were like, fuck.
Yeah,
like,
literally, I was so upset. I was like, okay, I just wasted. I had my friend blow out my hair before. I was like, that was for nothing. Like,
well, it was for whoever recognized you on the street.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you start going on dates. At what point was there like a define the relationship conversation? Because I get a lot of questions all the time of when do you bring this up? Or if you feel like things are going well, but you don't really know how they're feeling, like how do we say that or establish that we're on the same page?
So Jack might get mad at me for saying this on the air, but he actually asked me to be his girlfriend like very early in. And I said no, because I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. And as much as being a girlfriend to someone you love is great, it's also work. Mm-hmm. Like making yourself available, responding to texts, even though that sounds stupid, like, oh, responding to texts is work. Like, it is. You have to put effort into a relationship if you want it to succeed. And I was like, I'm exhausted. Like, I was just in a long relationship. I kind of want some time for myself.
How long between the breakup and your first date?
We broke up in October and I think went on our first date in November. Important to note, though, that we had broken up before that when COVID first started, like in March, and got back together in June.
Got it.
So I was like kind of already broken up in my head. Like we got back together. And like, I feel so bad saying this, but like COVID was such a lonely time. And when things started to open up and neither of us were moved out yet. And like, I don't want to say it was for convenience, but like, I don't think those last few months that we were together were anything like, oh, we missed each other so much. Like, obviously
companionship.
You do comfort. Miss each other because you're so used to them. But like, I kind of had gotten over it from the first breakup. So like from October to December, it didn't take me much time, which again, I feel bad saying, but I was just ready.
No, you had already mourned the relationship in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it also makes sense that you weren't ready to jump immediately into one.
Right. Because even during that time, we weren't doing anything. Like during the time we were broken up, I was home alone.
Right.
You know, I wasn't like out
going
having
out
fun and like being with my girls. Like I was isolated.
Yeah.
So went on our first date in December. And then I think he asked me out in January. I said no. Then February comes. I had put a gift guide on my Instagram with PJ Salvage pajamas. February 14th comes around. He gets me the pajamas. Aww. And I'm like, okay, I love you. I'm like, you pay attention, swoon. Like, meanwhile, I had it laid out for him, like, on an Instagram story. And then we started dating, like, very quickly after that.
Did it mess anything up, or were you afraid that you saying you weren't ready was going to rock the boat?
I don't think so, because Jack is so understanding. Like, to his core, he is patient, he listens, he's thoughtful. So I know that he heard me when I said to him, like, listen, I really like you and like I want to be with you, but I just got out of a long-term relationship and I don't want to jump into anything too quickly and have it backfire. You know, because even though it was only a month's difference, which is not long in the grand scheme of things, in that month, say we had jumped into it, I could have been like, I wasn't ready for this. I don't want to do this anymore. And it could have screwed up our entire relationship. Yeah. So after that, he was so patient with me, did not rush me, did not like bring it up again. Everything was normal and fine. And I was obviously really hoping that it would not mess things up. But let's say it did mess things up, then he wouldn't have been the one.
Yeah.
Like if he wasn't willing to listen and wait, then like that wouldn't be our relationship that it is now. Yeah. So everything happens, I guess, for a reason.
No, absolutely. And it's so important that you communicated exactly how you felt instead of also saying okay, but feeling uncomfortable.
Right. Which I never wanted to feel that way.
Yeah. And the fact that he listened and was able to show up for you in the way you need and be patient, that right there is the foundation of a successful relationship.
Totally. Yeah. He really is the best. I don't want this to be like a tangent of everything I love about Jack, but my past relationship, so much of it was, I was such a like hand in hand with the insecurity and the self-esteem and everything, I was such a people pleaser that I never communicated in my past relationship, which that's on me, that I totally own that. But that obviously led to so many problems down the line because I was so scared to communicate how I was feeling that it would always blow up in my face. And so I knew that in my next relationship, like, I could not start it that way and I could not have it be that way.
Live and learn.
Yeah, literally.
Live and learn.
You learn so much.
Okay, I have a little game for us to play.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Get ready. It's called Where Do You Draw the Line? It is so fun. You and Jack need to play it together.
I've seen you play this with your fiance.
I've played it with Jake. I've played it with my friends. I've played it with guests. And every single time you learn so much about each other and about yourself too. Okay, so I pulled some questions. So basically, where do you draw the line? The way it goes is there are 2 types of scenarios. There's dip your toes or take the plunge. Okay. And each card has a scenario on it. Perfect. And the options are deal breaker, red flag, indifferent, or that's me. Okay. So do you want to dip your toes or take the plunge to start?
I will take the plunge. Wow. Go big or go home. But I have no idea what kind of questions these are. So
go for it.
They won't share their location when you're dating. Is this like first start dating or you're in a relationship?
In a relationship.
Honestly, that's like, I've never once checked Jack's location unless I'm like, oh, is he almost home? Like, should I open the door for him? Because I trust him. I don't need to. But if I did care about that, I'd say that's a deal breaker. Like, what are you trying to hide?
Yeah.
Like, if he was adamantly against it.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
If it would make me more nervous and anxious if they said no.
Right. Like, I'm not checking. If you just shared it with me, I never even had to ask Jack. I think he just shared it with me. Yeah. And I think I just shared it with him because safety?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But yeah, if they adamantly were against it, that's when I'd be concerned. Not because I'm checking it and like, where is he?
Agreed. Like, I trust Jake completely, but sometimes like it just saves us time if he works late sometimes and I want to check, like, is he still at work or is he already on his way home?
Exactly when I check for Jack.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be deal breaker.
Yeah. I think it would be a big red flag that could become a deal breaker for me.
Right. If we were just dating and it wasn't like a 2-year relationship or whatever, then I'd say red flag.
Yeah.
But if you're serious, then deal breaker.
There's no reason, if you trust each other, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
But people would argue like, well, if you trust each other, why do you need it?
Because why?
Why not? Like, save.
Why
like,
not?
It's a fucking scary world out there.
Yeah.
You care about someone, you want to make sure they're good.
Right. If I'm walking home from dinner alone, you best believe I want Jack to have my location.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go. I'll dip my toes. They don't wash fruits or veggies before eating them.
Honestly, like, oh, that's weird.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it's not that that's me, but it could be. Like, I don't consider that.
It's definitely been me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just really eager and there's a really good looking raspberry in the fridge. Yeah. And like, I just don't want to wash it. I just want it now.
Sometimes it's a hassle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to die.
No. Nothing bad has happened. We're still here. Go for it.
Okay. I'll dip my toes this time.
Dun, dun, dun.
They have no sense of style. You can work on it for them. Like, I wouldn't say Jack is the most stylish, but like, I bought him some good sneakers. I got him some good shirts. Like, that's fixable. Yeah. You know? And that has nothing to do with their personality or like how much they love you. I don't know. I think I'm indifferent.
But also that's me.
No, it's not.
No, it is. I have no idea. It's so funny. I have no idea what I'm doing ever. Okay.
But you don't have no sense of style.
Yeah,
you look put together every time you come on this podcast. Like,
every time I come on this podcast, I'm in leggings and a sweatshirt. But if that's put together,
if it's
great.
a cute sweatshirt, who cares?
Great. Perfect. Deal. Okay, I'll take the plunge. They're sober.
Oh, I love that for them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that for them.
You don't drink that much.
Correct. I wouldn't define myself as sober, but if I'm out for dinner, I'm not ordering a drink. And I like rarely go out. Like, I'll enjoy a glass of red wine or something with my family, but my drink of choice would always be like a poppy over wine or a cocktail. I just like don't enjoy it. I think I went overboard for a really long time. I don't enjoy the taste. I don't enjoy the way it makes me feel the next day. Like, I get deathly, ungodly hungover from such a small amount. It just kind of ruined it for me.
How long have you had this mindset about it?
I would say since... So I would say, well, I have kind of a complicated relationship with alcohol because for a long time I cut it out because of calories and like drunk eating and hungover eating, and like that was not the right approach to cutting it out. it was for the wrong reasons. But then during COVID, I did not drink like at all for probably 8 months.
Yeah.
Um,
You probably
I
just felt so good.
I felt so good. I didn't
Yeah.
miss it at all. And then when I moved to the city, I kind of added it back in because I wanted to make sure I was cutting it out for the right reasons this time. Like, had so much fun. But yeah, the hangover just isn't worth it for me. So I'd say around 3 years now.
When you started dating Jack, were you drinking on dates or not really?
Yes. And I was a little bit nervous, honestly, when I started dating Jack because he doesn't drink a lot, especially not anymore. But like before Sushi Bayam, when I went to his apartment, he was like, "Oh, can I make you a drink?" And I was like, "Oh, like, is this how it's going to always be? Like,
Yeah.
is there always going to be like a drink in his hand?" Like, I didn't know. He's not like that. But the only reason why I say like, oh, I love that for them if they're sober, and why I don't find it a red flag at all is because if you can have fun sober and you can be confident sober, like, go off. That's great. Like,
Yeah.
if you're using alcohol as a crutch, I think that's something to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think for me, I think I'm indifferent. I think it would help me be healthier and feel better by not drinking.
Right.
I mean, me and Jake were talking about it recently where like when we first started dating, we would drink we drank so much wine.
Yeah.
Like any night we would hang out, we would drink
because
wine.
you're like trying to lower your inhibitions. You want to get
Yeah.
comfortable. You want to have fun. And like, I totally respect that too. Like, I never will judge someone for what they drink and how much they drink. And I would never judge Jack for that either. But yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's so weird how like now we don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because we live together and then we'd be having a bottle of wine every single night
Right.
when we're together. But it's like I drink so much less now. And I'll even think about it when if I have something to do the next day, I like, don't want to drink.
Same.
And I'm proud of myself for like prioritizing feeling
Totally.
good.
Yeah. And I do feel like that comes with getting older is
Yeah.
like, though, especially if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're in the office 5 days a week, why would you want to waste the 2 days that you're not in the office feeling hungover? If
True.
you don't get hungover, like, amazing for you.
Must be nice.
Yeah, for the level of hungover that I get, I'm like, I don't want to waste my Saturday feeling like shit. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go out and do things and have fun and feel good. And like,
Totally.
if I'm hungover, I can't do that. And then I feel like I wasted my weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Your turn.
Take the plunge. They don't like traveling. Shoot, that's like a hard one.
That's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I might have to go deal breaker also. I'm not like a huge travel junkie, but if they actively don't like it, that kind of is your whole life laid out
Yeah.
in front of you. Like, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah. Agreed. I want someone to like want to go on adventures. We don't have to like
Yeah,
travel
like
all the time,
explore.
but there's so much to see in the world. And, you know, my parents live in Florida.
Yeah.
So I gotta go there.
Right.
Yeah. I can't imagine not traveling and experiencing new places and new things and new cultures and cuisines with somebody.
Totally.
Like that's a huge part of life for me.
But it's funny because I would never, this isn't something that I feel like would come up early on. You know, I don't know. Because that, I guess it does come up.
I feel like it's one of those
It's
like
like
basic, like
stories.
like more simple conversations.
Like, where have you traveled?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
Or like telling a story and then you're like, oh, have you ever been there?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. Like, imagine they say they don't like traveling and the next day you're like, I loved everything about you, but like, no.
I mean, listen, compromise.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Totally.
Okay, I will dip. They're vegan. This is hard for me. So I actually had a big debate about this. Not really a big debate, but I posted an Instagram story about being gluten-free. My friend.
I thought it was a TikTok.
I posted a TikTok
I
and
saw
an
this.
Instagram. So a
I had
guy
strong feelings.
on Hinge told my friend, it came up that she was gluten-free and he was like, sorry, like I'm gonna end the conversation here. I have no interest in going out with someone who's gluten-free. And so I posted like, good morning to everyone except for the guy on Hinge. He just told my friend that he won't date her because she's gluten-free. And oh my God, I did not expect that TikTok. That like has like 500,000 views and like 20,000 comments of people arguing over it and debating. And here's my conclusion is like, if someone's gluten-free or celiac or has a food allergy, like that's not their fault. That's not their choice. That is like something that happens to them and they have to deal with.
Right.
Being vegan is a lifestyle choice that by all means, power to you. I think it's wonderful for people who choose that. And I have friends who are vegan and I admire them for making that lifestyle choice. But I think it would make it difficult for me because I'm so not vegan, and sharing food is a huge part of my relationship and what I like to do. And so I think it could be very limiting. All this to say, if I met somebody and I really liked them and then I found out they were vegan, like I'd be like, okay, well, I like you, so I'm gonna deal with it.
Right.
What do you think?
I think totally agreed on the gluten thing. Like, imagine saying no to dating someone because they're allergic to peanuts.
Right.
Like, you would never do that.
Right.
That's just like, they have no control over that. That's so
Yeah.
wrong. For me, it's kind of a tricky answer.
Because it's restrictive.
Yes. So for me, I think I would find it very triggering.
Yeah.
Not because of anything to do with like dates or anything like that. Like, I actually love vegan food. I prefer to cook not like plant-based alternatives. Like, I don't do Beyond or anything like that, but I would prefer to eat chickpeas 5 out of 7 nights a week than cook chicken. Like, I hate that. So no like judgments on being vegan, but the idea of him being like, oh, I can't eat butter, or like stuff like that, I think I'd be a little triggered, and that's on me. That wouldn't be on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be too much for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. It's also personal, and I think it's something where like red flags and deal breakers, it's all situational.
Totally. Like, how great are they in every other department?
Right.
And how loved do they make you feel?
Yeah.
And like, it's so hard to say without any context.
100%.
But
And
for the sake of the
and at the
comedy.
same time, like someone who's vegan should be with somebody who like super supports that and wants to be with them
also,
for it.
I feel like because for most people being vegan is about like the animals and everything,
Yeah.
I feel like they'd kind of want to be with someone who has the same morals
Exactly.
and values
Exactly.
and like wants that for themselves too.
Exactly.
So.
Agreed. Go for it.
Oh.
All you.
They don't believe in marriage. Deal breaker.
Bye.
That's a deal breaker for me.
I don't believe
sorry.
in you.
Yeah. I can't with that.
Imagine being on a date with somebody and then saying they don't believe in marriage.
No, like, what's the point?
I remember I've dated people in the past who like they were surrounded by divorce in their families.
That's
and so they were like, I
understandable.
don't know if I will get married. And if I do, like, I don't know that it will last.
Yeah.
And that scared me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, just because it didn't doesn't mean it won't.
I was
But I
just
also
about-
can't argue with their experience.
Totally. I was just about to say, I feel like believing in marriage in this day and age is kind of a privilege. Like, I'm so lucky
Yeah.
that my parents are still together. My aunt and uncle are still together. My sisters have great marriages. Like, I'm surrounded by healthy success stories as of right now, knock on wood.
Yeah.
So, like, I do feel very, very blessed whenever I'm in a room with, sometimes I'm in a room and, like, I can confidently say I'm the only people whose parents are still together.
Yeah.
And that is so sad. And I have texted my parents or called them on multiple occasions being like, I feel so blessed that I have you guys to look up to as role models and that you're still together. But I could understand if you weren't as lucky to not believe in marriage. But for me, I don't think that would work out.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that.
I'm very lucky.
Me too. They're a picky eater.
Yeah.
It's not a red flag. It's just annoying.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent. Like,
Yeah.
how picky are we talking? If you want chicken fingers and fries, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like a super adventurous eater, so I'd
Yeah.
be fine. But
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't really limit that much.
No. One of my best friends is the pickiest eater in the world. And like we've always, throughout our entire lives, we've made it work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
indifferent.
Same. Okay. I'll dip my toes. They let clean laundry unfold. This is me. They let clean laundry sit unfolded for more than a day.
Same.
Yeah, that's
And then I get so mad every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it's all wrinkled now. Why couldn't I have just done this yesterday? I want to do it now.
Same. I can't even argue with this one. That's
Me.
that's me.
It's us. Two more. They're atheist.
To what extent? Because I wouldn't describe myself as religious, but I subscribe to the culture of Judaism.
Yeah. Like we're culturally Jewish, the community aspect, the holidays.
Yeah. Like I don't necessarily light Shabbat candles every week
Yeah.
or like go to temple on the high holidays, but I love feeling like I'm a part of the community.
Yeah.
So I would say indifferent. If they're like actively against
Against-
all religion
Yeah.
and like get angry over it,
Yeah,
you know,
that would
then
be a deal breaker.
that'd be a deal breaker. But if you're just kind of indifferent about religion, like you don't necessarily subscribe to one, then I'm not going to hold that against you.
What if they weren't willing to raise their kids Jewish?
Like, are they biologically Jewish?
Technically, because you're the woman, they would be.
No.
Well,
Is he biologically Jewish and just like doesn't practice?
I don't know.
If he is biologically Jewish, I'm going to say it's like my kids can't be bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. If we're raising them in a Jewish area,
yeah,
and he's great in every other department, I'm going to say indifferent still. Yeah. But if we're like in the middle of nowhere where we're the only Jews and, you know, in these extreme scenarios, then I'd be upset about it. Yeah.
With nobody else around. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think I echo everything that you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One more each. Go for it.
Is it me?
I don't know.
What's your biggest
wild card?
What's your biggest deal breaker moving forward? Like hyper specific or general?
Follow your heart.
Biggest deal breaker. Like if they ever are manipulative or like gaslighty.
Yeah.
I have been there far too many times. I refuse to ever go back. And at the first sign of that, I'm out.
Agreed.
So
agreed. I think lying.
Yeah, totally.
I think that would really scare me.
Right.
Because of exes lying and what that ended up meaning. Yeah, you got to be honest.
Totally.
Even if it's hard, even if the truth is scary, it's less scary than the lie and catching someone in a lie.
I think it's so important. So important.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so fun.
Last one. They're addicted to coffee. That's you.
That's me. Jack actually doesn't drink coffee.
Really?
He is a tea drinker. He'll occasionally drink coffee if we like go get it together. He's like, just get me whatever you're getting. But he's not passionate about it the way I am.
The way you are.
And it makes me sad because I would love nothing more than to make him coffee in the morning. Like, I would be so honored.
Bring him coffee in bed.
I would love that. Like I would live for that. It would bring me so much joy to like see the smile on his face, like waking up to fresh brewed coffee. But making tea just doesn't hit the same. Like,
well, you have a very cute tea kettle.
Thank you.
I did notice.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna do that.
Nope, it does not hit the same, and it's annoying in the morning to hear that sound.
Right? Yeah. No, it's not for me.
Well, that was Where Do You Draw the Line. You guys can get that at wdydtl.com. It's not as intense as you think. It's just Where Do You Draw the Line? wdydtl.com, and code Alana for 20% off. Highly, highly recommend.
So fun.
Okay. I want to talk to you about one thing that I feel like you can just speak to a lot. You have a job, you have all of your social media presence and all of that work. You're in a relationship, you have friendships, you do all of your fitness stuff. There's so much that you do. How do you balance being in a relationship and this big flourishing life that you've built for yourself?
Thank you. Wow, that is a great question. I kind of just feel like everything has its place. Like I don't know how else to describe it. I will always try to make time to prioritize my friendships. I'll admit sometimes something's got to give.
Yeah.
But I will say in past relationships, I was so dependent on always being with the boyfriend that like I almost didn't know myself outside of him. And so now like when I go to events, I always go alone. Even if I have a +1, like I will never bring Jack. I never bring a friend because I want to force myself to get outside my comfort zone and meet new people, talk to new people, learn how to start a conversation with someone.
That's how we met.
Like, right. Yeah, exactly. That was so fun. Oh, yeah. It was Therese.
Yeah.
So I never bring +1s, but in making time for everything, like I wake up early, I go to bed early, I have a to-do list every single day down to like cut my nails. Like I write everything down and I just prioritize. And I honestly like it kind of plays into the no drinking thing. Like I don't have a day to waste. So I really like to make the most of every single day. I feel like I'm constantly busy. I'm also very blessed to work from home. So that gives me a lot of flexibility. And I try to do it all. It doesn't always happen, but it's everything that brings me joy. Like anything that doesn't bring me joy, I cut out. I should say that. Mm-hmm. If something is not serving me, I simply don't have the time to keep it in my life. And there's no point in doing that. Like, I've cut out toxic friendships. I just don't have room for that in my life anymore. And that has freed up mental space. It has freed up time. And so I now can put the effort and time into the relationships that matter and bring me joy, and the things that matter and bring me joy.
And all of that allows you to be your best self.
100%.
And show up the way you want to.
Right. And a lot of the things that I am checking off my list, quote unquote, they're things that genuinely, not only do they make me happy, but they make me better. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so
I love
much.
all of that.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't want this to end, but eventually it has to. And we have cookie coffee time to get to.
I'm very excited for that.
Before I let you go, what is the best piece of dating or relationship advice that you've ever received?
Okay. I don't know who I received it from. Could have even been from you, potentially. But, and I just told this to a friend, when you are early on in dating, I think a mistake girls tend to make more often than not is we get so caught up in, do they like me? What does their behavior mean?
Mm-hmm.
Before we even take the time to think about if we liked them. And when you're thinking back to the date, who was the one making it fun? Was it fun because you're fun? Or was it fun because they were engaging, they were asking you questions, they made you laugh? Were they sitting there like a dud and you were carrying the conversation and you make yourself laugh, so you laughed?
Mm-hmm.
So I think not getting caught up in everything doing with them and genuinely thinking about you and your feelings first. That's the best advice I got.
So good. So true. Wish I could go back in time and have that mindset about
Me too.
so many people and so many dates. And I think it would have saved me a lot of heartache.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I love that. Where can everybody find you?
Instagram and TikTok at The Daily Schvitz. Schvitz is SCHVITZ. It's not my last name. And I think that's everything.
Guys, follow her. She is one of the best follows. I'm not even kidding.
Thank you.
I'm not just saying that because you're here.
So kind.
Love it. Yay!
Thank you so much.